What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rance, aka Ray Cash. I am uh, giving you this message because the Raw 25 and Enzo Amore podcast we recorded earlier this week has corrupted a bit. I was able to save the end part with Carl and I talking about Enzo Amore, and Carl and I both found it very important to release this part because we wanted to do the situation justice. It is news. It's extremely sad news, but news nonetheless. And we wanted to do this story justice from our perspectives, but we also wanted to give uh, people the chance to understand our points of view and let the women in our lives, the friends of ours, Kim and Christina and Sierra and many other people that follow us or interact with us on Twitter, a chance to tell us if we're wrong. Because at the end of the day, it isn't about us. It's about so many women who have been objectified and not given the chance to speak. And in turn, if this isn't true, it's about justice. So you're not going to get a whole podcast here. You're probably going to get about 20, maybe 30 minutes. Please let us know what you think. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us if we're right. And educate us. Let us know. We're two men. We're two pretty much 30-plus-year-old men. If we're wrong, please tell us. You can follow us again at the SMC podcast. You can follow me at It's Ray Cash. You can follow Carl at Curvin SMC, and you can follow Caleb at SMC_CalB. I I don't want to say I hope you enjoy, but I hope you leave feedback, and I hope we give you something to think about.
I'm going to try to give this as much justice as I can for both parties. But Enzo Amore, aka Eric Arndt, was suspended and consequently fired uh, Monday and Tuesday. He was, and this all happened in real time. I want to give a quick shout out to Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful because he was the guy basically doing everything in real time. I was watching as it literally progressed. But there is a lady by the name of Philomena. I don't know her last name, but she's Miss Gucci Witch on Twitter. She's a Snapchat, Instagram cam girl. That's what she does for a living. Um, and she has a little notoriety because she does Instagram videos and YouTube videos, stuff like that. Apparently, the story that she tells is that one of Enzo's good friends and his girlfriend, who Enzo clearly is tight with, he's around all the time. They invited her to a party at a hotel in Phoenix the weekend of October the 19th, 18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere around there. And she came and she was drunk, and then drugs were taken at the party. She says it was meth. They say, but it might. The drug of choice doesn't really matter, but some kind of way the drug she took made her not necessarily unconscious, but unresponsive, and she claims that Enzo raped her. Not only does she claim that Enzo raped her, she claims that Enzo was brash enough to tell the two people he was with that I'm gonna rape her and ain't shit you could do about it. And then the girl who brought her to the party came, kissed her on the cheek, and said, "We'll see you later." Um, if you really go into detail of all that, very very rough to read. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, it is. But again, I want to give full disclosure on both sides because her story, her story is based with all the facts that keep coming out aren't matching up. She said that um, she was in a mental hospital for 45 days, which changed to rehab. It was changed to from 45 days to 26 days. But you could also see that she had her phone the entire time, which you don't have your phone in a mental hospital or rehab for that matter, which also changed to if you follow her timeline, she was out and about doing different things something you can't do in rehab or a mental hospital. Also, one of her good friends who's verified because they're on camera together a lot came out and has text messages about showing her bragging about sleeping with the WWE wrestler. So there's many sides to the story. Unfortunately, uh, with the situation that we're in is that women are so objectified and victimized that there is a culture of rape where, you know, sometimes men feel like they just can expect to do what they want to a woman. But that in turn has created a culture on the other end of it, in where if a woman says that somebody raped her, everybody normally should believe that. But there have been a bunch of women to say that about people that and it wasn't true. So now we can't believe her just off of her word because you're innocent until proven guilty. And so both people deserve the right to their presumed innocence until something is proven. But we have separated and kind of attacked both parties. Enzo is getting murdered by people,
Yeah.
and nothing has been proven. Nothing. Enzo wasn't fired because of the allegation. Enzo was fired honestly and strictly because this happened in October and he didn't tell his employer, which is a really stupid move on his part and doesn't look good for him. But that's it. Not because of the. And I respect WWE's situation stance on it because they have a zero tolerance policy. It's the reason Rich One is still suspended, even though him and his wife are back together. Uh, During the legality of the situation, you're either suspended or you're fired. And I'm sure uh, if he gets cleared, there'll be more talks of possibly bringing him back. But that's another conversation. But this is a huge situation because Enzo Amore's career could be over.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't do it, it could be over. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a young girl, if she was raped, it's unfortunate that a young girl was raped by a person who is a predator. If she wasn't raped, it's unfortunate that a young girl ruined a consensual moment with a guy who didn't deserve to have his career and his livelihood taken away from him.
Right.
So no situation is any of this a positive moment, but it is newsworthy and noteworthy, and we have to talk about it because of we're a wrestling podcast, and Enzo was the reigning cruiserweight champion, and many people want to. Enzo is a I hate to just kind of say it this way, but Enzo is a bit of a douchebag in real life, and so Enzo's real life follies, people are using that as reason to say he did it. So it's so layered and it's so messed up, and I wish peace on all of them, and I wish the truth comes out so that whoever is in the wrong, whether it's Enzo for doing it if he did, or if it's the Filomeno lady for lying about it if she did. I hope that it comes out soon because nobody deserves to go through what they're going through right
Yeah, I want to say a couple things about this. First of all, her friend that came out with the text messages, I want people to understand something that just even if, okay, this is near and dear to my heart for a variety of reasons I'm not going to get into, but even if those are things she sent to him, that doesn't necessarily damn her. And the reason why I say that is because there is sometimes when people are going through something like this, sexual assault, they can be in a bit of shock before and after. And there's also denial of what has happened to you. And this is real. And that is something that I have spoken to other women about before. Like I said, this is something that I'm familiar with. So for all we know, even if she did send those, and who knows if that's really her messages, we don't know, right? We don't know. But for all we know, it's a state of denial, man. Like, this happened to me and I'm trying to make peace with it. So I'm just going to brag about it. And that's a real thing that happens. And I'm not trying to say that Enzo Amore, Eric Arndt, whatever is guilty or not. And I believe
that's important.
Yeah,
that's important.
I believe in trying to get to the facts. I will say this for Enzo, it's not damning, but he made a huge mistake not going to his employer and saying, "Hey, I'm being investigated." Like, because he wasn't arrested, so obviously, he's not having to worry about that coming out that he got arrested.
But it's the dumbest possible thing he could ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in this kind of situation, like, I'm not saying WWE might not have taken action right then and there on him. I don't know what they would have done, but I feel like there's a better chance that he could have kept his job, or maybe just at the very least just been suspended, had he come straight to them and said, "Listen, this is what's happened. This is what I'm dealing with." And I think that's not a damning thing, but sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. Unless he felt he was 100%. If you felt you were 100% innocent, it would have been wise. Now maybe he's just an idiot. At best he's still an idiot. At worst, he's a rapist, and that's the problem. Like, so him getting fired, like, and nobody has said they disagree with his firing, and I don't. Some people have, but none of us have, as far as I know. He had to be fired. I'm sorry. Like, once you find out that he didn't let them know, if you're a company and you're finding out that one of your biggest named employees, Enzo is a big name in the company, whether you like it or not. When you find out the same time that everyone else is finding out, the writing's on the wall, brother. That's just the end of the deal.
Once we found out why he was fired, I didn't have a problem with it. If he was fired simply because of allegations, I'd had a problem with it because everybody deserved their day.
I think that would have been
he was
suspension.
Fired, and
right.
Sure, he was suspended. The second we found out about it,
and that was fine.
It's all broke about. Yeah, and that's what it should have happened. Rich Swann is still suspended. Exactly. I really want to touch on your other point real quick. And we can go back and forth on this for a while.
Yeah.
I don't want to come off as insensitive to anybody because just much like Karl, I'm a father of 2 daughters. I have family members, people who are my best friends, people I consider sisters who have dealt with things of this nature. So I'm very sensitive to, rape, assault, sexual assault, things that I'm very, very sensitive to that. But I do want to mention, yes, you're absolutely right that you cannot base 100% the way a woman acts directly after she has possibly been raped, and you cannot take that as a basis for, you can't trust her mental acuity or capacity at that moment because she could be in denial or shock, as you said. The only thing I say against that, based on this woman and all of the evidence we have from her, is that one, she was extremely brazen about what she was doing with him. Extremely brazen. So, it wasn't that, I just had sex with this guy. It was like, I fucked him and I fuck him again. Like, it was like really brazen, And 2, unfortunately, I make the analogy in my personal life that, there's a reason McDonald's coffee says hot, because some idiot didn't realize it was hot and sued them, and they had to pay some money, and then they had to put the thing on the you know what I mean? Like, there's always somebody that ruins it for everybody else. And there have been women who have ruined it for I hate to say the hundreds or the thousands or the millions, but the people who legitimately need the help or are trying to speak up or trying to get their stories out there and get justice, because there are so many women that don't. But there are that select few, and it's probably like less than 1% of all of I hate to think of it as a statistic, but less than 1%, but that we're lying knowingly and willingly to get something out of the situation. Right?
Yeah, of course it happens.
And so because of that, you cannot trust based on a person's on an allegation.
Right.
And so, I mean, you look at the situation with the doctor from the United States gymnastics team, right?
Sure.
And his situation, all of the women who he raped or he assaulted, they had credibility. So unfortunately, in this situation, credibility matters, and she has none. And so that's all I want to say. I don't want to make it seem like this is for every woman, and I don't want to make it seem like just because she has no credibility, she couldn't have been raped. I want to make it seem
Yeah.
like because she does sell nudes for a living. She can't. No, she's a human being just like anybody else. Can go through anything negative, positive, whatever. I'm not
That's right.
saying that. All I'm
That doesn't
saying
matter.
is
What she does for a living is
no.
literally irrelevant.
Doesn't matter what you're wearing.
People
Doesn't matter
need to
what you're saying.
understand
What
that that
you're
is
doing. Yeah,
something that, yeah. And that, and
absolutely.
that's the other thing. Like that's a flip side of this. We can actually, and it's probably the more prevalent side of this. You know, like you say, there have been cases of women out there who have lied about being sexually assaulted, right? And so that leads people to say, we shouldn't just believe them, right? On the flip side, like you were just saying, there are people out there who think just because a woman is wearing clothing or just because she does this, that, and the other, that she's down to have sex. And so they feel like she wanted it or whatever, which is another thing that keeps women from coming out and speaking up about this.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
a culture has been created, like you said, that rape culture, it's been created that it negatively impacts real victims. And
Yes.
that's something that it cannot be said enough that we've got to get away from this process, this culture of either way, both sides. We've got to, and we may never. I don't know, but I'm really, my main thing here is anyone that has problems with him being fired. I don't, just simply because of the fact that he did not come out and tell his employer.
And
again, you've got to say something.
Yes, and again, I think once everybody understands the context of that situation, I think most everybody reasonable is understanding of that and okay with that. I think the issue is that okay, if I just came out right now and said that such and such did this to me, right? If I, if Chad stole my wallet,
Right.
Dr. Chad Matthews, he shouldn't lose his job just because I threw out accusation.
Right.
Now
we don't know what WWE would have done given if he had come straight to them.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that's why people were mad.
Right.
That's why anybody who was upset or maybe still is upset is. It's not because they don't. It's not because they don't understand that. It's because that it looked like if you don't follow Sean Ross Sapp, or you don't follow David Bixenpan, or you don't follow Justin LeBar, or any of these like top notch Ryan Satin, even though Ryan doesn't have a great rapport with people. These top-notch news people, if you don't follow them, if you're not reading the dirt sheets, if you're just watching TMZ or television, you don't know that the WWE didn't know about this. So It looks like, oh shit, well they're just trying to another dude got a baseless accusation and all of a sudden he's like James Franco was nominated for every major award at the SAG Awards, at the Golden Globes. All of a sudden, the Oscars come out. He's not nominated for anything because he had a bad situation with a woman that he was teaching, and I don't know enough about it to say it was sexual assault or anything, and so I don't want to be ignorant enough to say that. But that goes to show you how quick a person can lose everything off of an accusation. So that's what people are upset about. They didn't want him to just lose everything off of an accusation that has no proof. We did absolutely. So I'm not saying that her accusation is wrong. You shouldn't lose everything basically because somebody said they did this to me.
Right.
That's what we have. That's what we have a legal system for. That's what we have. That's what we have. I hate to say it, but that's what we have rape kits, and that's what we have. All of the tools at our disposal to figure these things out. So if Enzo was fired because WWE saw that and had in the bad press and they're like, oh no, you got to go, then fuck WWE because that's not good business. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, you're right.